Harvard University always held the title of the most elite Ivy League school. Sorry, yeah. Harvard University was the first college ever established in the American colonies, way back in 1636, when Joe Biden was just a young lad. Taking the name of an English clergyman, John Harvard, who donated his library and estate for the greater good of the country. And Harvard always put America first. During the American Revolution, Harvard moved their students off campus and provided housing to the Continental Army, where thousands of soldiers used Cambridge as a fort during the siege of Boston. And throughout its almost 400-year history, the best and the brightest Harvard minds educated America's most prominent leaders, men like John Adams, Teddy and Franklin Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, who famously said, "To be a Harvard man is an enviable distinction." But in 2024, the legacy of the Harvard man is a little duller. The university's falling on its sword. Today, Claudine Gay became the shortest-serving Harvard president in 4 centuries, forced to resign in disgrace after she was caught plagiarizing half of her published academic scholarship, the gravest sin in academia. 50 instances of academic fraud and counting, or as CNN calls it, sloppy attribution.
We should note that Claudine Gay has not been accused of stealing anyone's ideas in any of her writings. She's been accused of more like copying other people's writings without attribution. So it's been more sloppy attribution than stealing anyone's ideas.
CNN redefined shoplifting as shopping without money, and now plagiarism is sloppy attribution. I'm going to ask CNN for a better way to describe me not helping out around the house. Investing in non-household activities? Yeah. We never would have known the Harvard president was an intellectual phony if she hadn't drawn attention to herself at a congressional hearing where she said, "You're allowed to yell, 'Kill the Jews' at Harvard.'"
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
It depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign.
This weekend, Harvard student newspaper, The Crimson, wrote this: "Harvard's presidency is no mere empty honor. Gay has failed. The Harvard Corporation must find a leader who can do better." But Harvard today can afford to lose its honor. They did that when they replaced scholars with radical activists. But what it can't afford to lose is its money. And Harvard lost $1 billion in donations during Gay's turmoil. Harvard's a hedge fund that happens to host a few classes. With a $50 billion endowment, losing $1 billion in a single month is how you get sacked fast. But Gay says if she was white, she'd still have the job. Quote, "It has been distressing to have doubt cast on my commitments to confronting hate and to upholding scholarly rigor, 2 bedrock values that are fundamental to who I am, and frightening to be subjected to personal attacks and threats fueled by racial animus." Gay is saying you don't care about plagiarism, anti-Semitism, or losing $1 billion. You're just a racist. Gay knows exactly how you feel, but has no idea how Jews feel walking through her campus while students call for their murder. Bull. And Reverend Al says the resignation is an attack on all black women. Quote, "President Gay's resignation is about more than a person or a single incident. This is an attack on every black woman in this country who's put a crack in the glass ceiling. It's an assault on the health, strength, and future of diversity, equity, and inclusion at a time when corporate America is trying to back out of billions of dollars in commitments." Gay's head didn't put a crack in the glass ceiling. She used someone else's head to do it and took credit for it 50 times. What Al's really worried about is his shakedown money's disappearing. After George Floyd, corporate America was shamed into committing gazillions of dollars towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. That meant cash for Sharpton and patronage for his crew. But corporate America has found out quickly that the diversity, equity, and inclusion game is not only a hand grenade of lawsuits, but it's an unproductive waste of time and incredibly divisive to the corporate culture. America believes in diversity, but not at the expense of achievement and profitability. So Harvard did the right thing. Firing Gay signals to the country that merit Trump's identity. We're learning that the diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda is just a Trojan horse to hire more libs. It has nothing to do with diversity at all. They're just using diversity as cover to discriminate against straight white males. So they can pack institutions with wild-eyed DEI radicals who HR and everybody else isn't allowed to challenge. The CIA has been doing this for years. We'll have more on that later in the show. But why do you think all of a sudden the agency's gunning for Trump, Catholics, and parents, and whose recruitment efforts look like a Miami nightclub? Even the CIA's top corporate allies, Google, Facebook, BlackRock, they're all slashing DEI jobs. Even Disney is saying their content creators are out of control.
Creators lost sight of what their number one objective needed to be. Entertain, and if you can infuse it with positive messages, have a good impact on the world, fantastic. But that should not be the objective. When I came back, what I've really tried to do is to return to our roots, which is, remember, we have to entertain first. It's not about messages.
The DEI experiment's starting to blow up in the lab that it was built in. And we all remember what starts in a lab doesn't stay in the lab.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling